Alrighty, folks, it says I'm live, so perhaps I am. I don't have anyone here, but I'll speak to myself and say welcome for all the folks that might watch this later. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get to work. We got all these fine plates laid out here to pick up and clean up, and we'll see who tunes in the meantime. I can see your comments here, so I'll check back every once in a while. I started it early so you folks can queue up and get in here. So much love, and I'm going to start to get to work here. No, well, how well you can see some of our Agar art we got going there inside. Little skull pattern just cut out. And just to balance it out, of course, if we can even see it. It's kind of hard to see with the naked eye. It's a peace sign. Maybe once we get the lid off, it'll be easier. It's definitely not as easy to see as in real life. It's kind of there. These ones I think you can see. Let's see if we can't get this a better angle. We need to get you over there. And of course, the iconic smiley, not so smiley. I don't even know what this is, honestly, but looks cool, I guess. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we'll get our tools all cleaned up here. So a few of these, I think I'm going to take some special little cutouts. We'll probably, I don't know, might make some little eyes on this rabbit or something like that. Maybe attempt to make a heart on that. I'm not quite sure. But as we go through some of these, I'll take little round cutouts, and some of them I'll take little misshapen cutouts to try and, pick where the mycelium will grow and how it will grow, because that will kind of determine what the end good looks like. Like I noticed that a lot on the plates I did before. Like this one might be your standard classic good to go ahead and put one right in the middle, just because the agar will grow out, or the mycelium will grow out in a nice spiral pattern anyway. But it's hard to say. So we'll get started here. I always like to get my plates open here, get them set out just in case there's any excess moisture still in them in front of the flow hood. They'll kind of clear up. As they sit in front of the flow hood sealed up, they tend to fog up on their own. But we got lots of transfers to do, so got lots of plates to unwrap and rewrap here. One thing when you're working in front of the flow hood, I see a lot of folks that want to go overkill, and I like to go overkill with sterilization, sanitation, and preparation, but you don't need a whole lot if you have a great flow hood, a good flow hood, even a decent flow hood. You just need to make sure that you keep your flow, everything within the airflow, and anytime that you exit out of it to grab something or touch something, that you clean up, and you can pretty well avoid a lot of issues that way. I like to constantly hit my hands with ISO if I touch anything outside of the airstream, but typically I just try and keep my hands in there as much as humanly possible. So we're actually going to start with some spore selection here. Got some of the spores we started last week that I got from Bunny over at Wonderland Genetics. She's a good friend of mine over on Facebook land and Instagram and TikTok as well. But Facebook is where I originally ran into her. And these have all germinated real well. I'm looking forward to taking transfers off these. I only had one old set that didn't germinate yet. And, spores can take a while. Usually when they pop like this, they're good fresh spores. So I'm happy with what I got here. Now, a good thing to use when you're doing spore selection is this little backlights, something like that. You can usually see if you have good lighting in there anyhow. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna look and try and find these larger colonies like that. And I'll probably go with these two center ones. This one here, I'm going to take a closer look at it, but it looks a little thick. I want thinner individual genetics. That one might just be a whole bunch, but I'll look closer and see what it really looks like up close. Yeah, see up close, it's hard to say. It may be something off. It looks like it might be a contaminant potentially, so I'm not going to mess with that one as far as taking a transfer from that portion of it. We'll see what it does when we open it up. But the main thing that looks different is it's just too white as compared to the other spores, which are just kind of coming to life. So a lot of contaminants will just look off, and it may even be white and healthy looking, similar to rhizomorphic mycelium, but not rhizomorphic. It just looks off, and so that's what I see here. So I'll probably go with this other plate that has only one little spot that I don't like, and the other two look pretty good. So what I'm looking at that I like, we can get it to show you here. It's pretty tough to see. I'm going to have to move that camera closer, I think. So give me 1 second. All right. So what I'm looking at here is this This area here, it's kind of, it's nice and white in the middle. It looks faded around the outside. But when I turn it around and I look at the back, I can kind of see that right up there, there's some strands poking up that clearly look like threads. That's an indicator of rhizomorphic potential. So I'm going to grab those and I'm going to take a transfer from those sections. You can usually take a flip of the plate and really see a better look at what kind of traits your mycelium will have. Now, you don't need rhizomorphic mycelium. That's just easier to tell if there's contamination, at least in my opinion. So if you have any question to your operation, you usually stick with the rhizo because it has that nice open separate growing pattern, and you can see if there's anything odd in there, like this little white dot here, that just appears. If that were to appear within your growth pattern on a normal plate that was tomentose, you may not be able to see through that growth. You would have to flip it over and see the odd pattern that kind of stuck out to you there. In this case, I can clearly see it, and I would clearly see it on another plate that was rhizomorphic. So let's take a look at our tsunami plates. They both look really good, really healthy. They both similarly have nice rhizomorphic growth there that I can spot from the bottom. Hey there, Alan. Thanks for joining us. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'll go with the natural tone just because it's easier to see through the bottom and see the nice, pretty mycelium I want. Now we have our bayou. So we kind of have a similar growth pattern that we see on the first plate that we had, where we've got some too white mycelium that I don't like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the one that's got a lot of those white spots aside, and I'm going to select from this one, and you can kind of see a lot better. You see that these three white dots are super white, that they're too white. Mycelium starting out like that can grow like that. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but typically on a spore plate, you're going to get a pattern. Everything's going to kind of grow similarly. You're not going to have a lot of super duper out there different things. I mean, they're competing for growth in the same area, so they're all going to similarly grow outward. You may get some rhizomorphic, you may get some tomentose, whatever you got. But in this case, I really don't like how the white is growing upward and piling. So we'll take a transfer from this one here on the side, and we'll do it lickety split here. So we'll be taking transfers on both these fancy plates and other natural tone plates. That way we give ourselves a chance to see the potential on both. Now let's see. Change out this blade here. I totally missed. I got a magnet on the back of my flow hood there. I threw that blade at and I totally missed it. That was lame. That's what happens when you want to be sterile and fancy. While we're waiting for those to cool, I'll prep the next set. If you didn't know, it's super important to let that there punch cool well before hitting your samples, especially on something new, something small like this that you're starting out with. You don't want to lose it. So in this case, I'm going to take a reasonably sized sample on the leading edge, and I will take them both from the same cluster and put them on two separate plates here. That way I have a good representation of my favorite growth on this here plate. All right. Let's see. Oh gosh, find my pen. Here's my pen. I guess I should put T1, transfer 1 from spore. Okay. So next up, we have our potential contaminant plates here. So we want to make sure that we, in this case, that we only open them up real quick, close them up real quick. Okay, so I got them in there and out of there as quick as I could, but wasn't as quick as I'd like to. Typically, when you're doing a transfer on a potentially contaminated plate like that from spore, you want to just open the top real quick and make your transfer. In fact, if you have a still air box to use, a still air box is your best bet, because some contaminants, if they're the wrong ones and you open them in front of your flow hood, may sporulate and spread around. In my case, I'm going to treat everything as I work here, so I'll finish this up and run the UV and hit everything with bleach, and I'm in a positive air controlled environment, so I should be mostly good. But I still don't like it. So that was White Rabbit. All right. One more set here, and then we're on to fancy Agar Art transfers. And again, because this is a potential contaminant plate, I'm going to take from the furthest away from the spots I don't like healthy looking mycelium here. And we'll do it quick and close it back up. Perfect. So that's how it should go. I should have went much more calmly on the first bit round. And we were lucky enough that those two white mycelium spots were not trichoderma. If they were, you'd have known as soon as I opened the plates because they'd have turned green. That's the thing with trichoderma is it will look kind of like piled up little white dots of starting mycelium, really super white mycelium, too white, just like those that I see there. I would guess, I don't know, that could even be good mycelium. We'll see as it grows later out. I'll wrap them up here and we'll see what comes out of them. But just early on, that gives me the it looks odd vibe, and anything that looks odd in mycology gets set aside. All right, now because those ones are potential contaminants, I'll wrap them right away. The donor plates, anyway. Maybe if I can get my fingers to work. Oh, this is some nice, really soft grafting tape. How many of you fine folks use this fancy grafting tape? I know I like using it. Super easy. I wish they had like parafilm like material that was similar to this. But I've also noticed that in cold conditions that this stuff can become brittle and actually not create the nice seal that we like to see on the plate. I've seen it unfortunately recently in some of my deliveries that get too cold and transfer, and you'll find reports of condensation uh, coming out of the plates and then leaking into others. So somehow when it gets cold, it becomes more rigid or shrinks or something to that degree. So just beware of it in your own storage situations that, potentially in the refrigerator, that same thing might be happening. That's my thought process anyway. Okay, so now we're going to take some of our fancy pantsy plates we got that we did last time with Louis Vuitton, Stormtrooper, and Gorilla Wizard here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these nice rhizomorphic guys here to our Agar Art plates. All right, so we'll start with this one, which I don't know that you can really see what's on there well. Kind of see an outline of what's cut. So these ones are kind of more of a hidden art. I took the scalpel and drew on some mushrooms and a little sun here. So we'll take some transfers and try and get it to show us some cool stuff on there. Guess we'll go mushroom stormtrooper to mushroom stormtrooper. So that's where the sun's at. If since you can't see it, I'll describe it. Okay, can't really see, but I put one on each of the mushrooms and one on the sun and the sky. So use your imagination and see what I drew. Time for the bunny. Okay, I don't know why I did it that way. Maybe you can see it better with the lid off. Maybe the two little things will grow out like ears. Maybe they will not. We will see. How about the heart? Should I just do one central from the very center of the heart? What do you think? Nope. I keep doing that with the lid, don't I? Say, Matt, we can't see it with the lid on. So, in the realm of you probably can't see it, this is an interesting little S symbol here. So, I'm going to try a little different kind of cutout here. So I'm just kind of creating a really long diamond here. I'm hoping that I can pull it out. Ah, I messed it up. Gotta pay attention. Okay, I think I got it there. It's pretty important that when you're taking transfers like this, that you get the cuts really nice and even. I actually, you can kind of see here on this one that it didn't come out really even, but I'm not going to try and try and fix it up because I'll mess it up worse. So we'll just see what it does. What do you think? What should we do with this one? Hey, Chris, what's up, bud? Okay, so we'll call that good for the smiley face. Drop a smiley face on the smiley face. That's what I did, brother. Great minds think alike. All right. Let's find some more. I think we'll go with our gorilla wizard here. So this is our peace sign. I don't know. Can you see the symbol at all? Can almost catch a faint glimmer. And our skull. You can kind of see. Didn't get the glare right. Can't get the glare right. Anyway. Mm, mm. Magnetic agar. Honestly, I don't know why it does that sometimes. Why it has to stick to my darn scalpel. Nah, just it's a mean scalpel. All right. Next. I don't know how well you can see that pattern either, but basically it's just a bunch of intricate lines that were all cut out. So when the mycelium grows over it, all those little lines should fill in nice and white from the mycelium filling in the gaps. And then we have our little starfish type alien gonna eat you alive predator thingy. And we'll cover his mouth or eye, however you choose to say it. Maybe. Often, when the scalpel tends to stick to the sample like that, if you just use the blade to slice into the scalpel, whichever direction it's facing, it can get you off there like that one did. Not always, though. So let's also test a couple of these fancy radioactives I do. I like to take the more extreme colors here, like these ones, and ensure that I test them here at home to make sure they grow well for you at home. So, an interesting note about these fancy plates like this, it's not actually that difficult to pour them and make them look fancy. That is definitely art. But the real art is in having them be viable growing plates that not only just grow, mycelium, but grow it as well as these, really nice ones. And you can clearly see, on this one, there's a great growth. You can see where I put the transfers. There's not a lot of misshapen to it, and that's all this super duper toxicy looking color that a lot of folks would have trouble growing their mycelium out on, because that mica and whatnot are not necessarily the best thing our uh, for our mycelium. And like you can see that these are obviously growing quite well, despite the fact that they were on this colored stuff. And the reason is because I've worked a long time at finding those that do work and those that will not harm mycelium. Okay, so I think we've done enough of the Gorilla Wizard. We'll go ahead and we'll mark these, and then we'll get to the last set of the fancy plates, and we'll call it a day. Thank you. Yes, I do. I'm not very artistic, but in that case, it is. That's how I do my art, or at least that's my version. And of course, I will show as these grow along. I'll try and do an update video here on YouTube as well as on my social medias. Okay, so for this set, we'll be using the Louis Vuitton with the fancy pantsy mushroom on the back. I kind of hate to use it just because it's such a beautiful little art piece, but I got plenty of pictures of it, so it's not like it's gonna go on my wall or anything. Eventually, it will dry out. I'm glad to hear that you're learning a lot more, Alan. It's always a learning game for all of us, and honestly, more often than not, when I sit down and teach somebody something when they've had a problem, I end up learning something as well. So I think not only self-education but educating others is important, because it helps you to see where you need to improve your own skills, whether it just be in personnel skills and telling people how to do this stuff. So all right, so we're all clean here. I don't know that I want to take any fancy shapes for these. I might do it on the end. So let's just get some punches cut out here. These are just kind of random symbols I drew on there. I don't know if it means anything to anyone. I was just trying to be semi-creative. Yeah. X marks the spot. Too easy. Hey, B. Hendrix, what up, bud? Any physics professors can explain to me how in the hell my scalpel sticks to my transfer when it's a razor sharp, super smooth thing? Like, there's got to be something there, like maybe it's not physics. Who knows? All right, so we got our little mushroom tree sun thing. So I know I'll put a circle on the mushroom and the sun. Oh, I'll probably just be lazy and just put the circle in each thing instead of cutting a special shape out. Kind of that last batch of special shapes was a pain in the ass. All right, so let's also see. We got a couple of these radioactive here to transfer to. That one's pretty sexy too. I don't know if this light does it any justice. This camera does anyway. Okay. Well, now that we're nearing the end of when I'm going to run this live, I'm going to go ahead and show some fancy stuff here. My new slaps. But also, we'll be giving away some stuff here, and I think I'm going to try and do some giveaways on YouTube. So Toad Boom sent me some stuff. Got his slaps here too. I really like this one here. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to set this giveaway up, but we've got some really nice genetics here. He sent us some duplicates. So be on the lookout for these real soon. I'll announce it on all my social medias and then make everybody come over here to YouTube. That way we can get everything going here on all of our nice fancy platforms and Keep kicking ass and taking names. And if you haven't noticed, I got no glasses on today. I do wear contacts occasionally. I'm just way too lazy. When you have a job where you work at home, like you get into these convenient streaks, like, hey, uh, I can work in my underwear. I can wear my glasses all the time. And pretty much anytime I want, I can just go take a break and watch TV for a while. Gets hard. You got to find some real self motivation sometimes. Or in my case, I have friends like you that encourage me and keep me going, keep me having a reason to say, hey, well, if these folks are watching, I guess I better do some shit. Anyhow, appreciate you folks tuning in. And I'll let you know where this next giveaway is going to come. And make sure you've put in for that giveaway we got going on. One thing I didn't mention is right where we're at with the amount of tickets that are out puts me in a nice position to snag the coveted 420 ticket. So that will be included with the giveaway that's going on with this here stuff for our buddy Toad Boom that he gave us. So definitely tune in for that. Much love. You folks have a nice day. Bye-bye now.